Steve Bannon, based on reporting, looks like he's going to be indicted on Thursday out of the state of New York for charges related to the Build a Wall fraud scheme that he was a part of. So if you missed it, and this is actually what Trump originally pardoned him for because of the federal charges that had been brought on. So he had an organization that was fundraising to build a wall among MAGA donors, of course, right? So he went at all these Trump supporters and said, do you care about building the wall? If so, donate to us and we'll get it done for you. Now, already when I heard that, or before he was even charged with anything, it just didn't make much sense to me. Why is a private organization fundraising to build a wall that the federal government would be building on federal land? Honestly, didn't make that much sense to me. But setting that aside, the logistics of it, what ended up happening is they did use this organization to funnel money to themselves. And they defrauded their donors in that way. And so again, that was a federal charge. He got pardoned for it by Trump. Well, now Trump's not president, and the New York state is looking into these similar, possibly, illegal actions. And so we'll get to his very bizarre response to this in a second. But first, we'll read a little bit about it from The Guardian. Top former Trump strategist Steve Bannon is expected to be indicted on Thursday on state fraud charges connected to his role in a fundraising scheme to build a border wall, according to two sources familiar with the matter, years after he received a presidential pardon in the federal case. The expected move by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office was quietly communicated to Bannon in recent days. The sources said of the sealed indictment and indicated the state charges will likely mirror the federal case in which he was pardoned. Bannon and three others were charged in that case by federal prosecutors in Manhattan with falsely claiming that they would not take compensation in the private We Build the Wall fundraising effort to underwrite part of the construction of the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. So again, they played on Trump supporters' ambition to build this wall, fundraise from them, and then use that money, or at least some of it, on personal things, which they had promised not to do, not to take personal kickbacks. So then, of course, as I mentioned, Steve Bannon had a very weird response. And here is a statement from him. Just days after being swatted 3 different times by deranged thugs from New York City, inspired by the Biden administration to assassinate me by police. Of course, no evidence that that was an attempt or even something that is being tried. The Soros-backed DA has now decided to pursue phony charges against me 60 days before the midterm election because War Room, which is his podcast, is the major source of the MAGA grassroots movement. The SDNY did the exact same thing in August 2020 to try to take me out of the election. It didn't work then. It certainly won't work now. This is nothing more than a partisan political weaponization of the criminal justice system. I am proud to be a leading voice on protecting our borders and building a wall to keep our country safe from drugs and violent criminals. The War Room show will be more vital, more intense, more urgent, and bigger this time. They are coming after all of us, not only President Trump and myself. I am never going to stop fighting. In fact, and this is the crazy part, I have not yet begun to fight. They will have to kill me first, says Steve Bannon. Well, nobody is trying that. They always like to pretend. This reminds me a lot of Jordan Peterson whenever he got booted off of Twitter, and Twitter said, listen, we'll let you back on the platform. All you have to do is take down the tweet that got you banned. And Jordan Peterson put out this video saying, I would rather die. Okay, no one's asking you to. Your life isn't as much a Hollywood movie as you think it is. You did some criminal stuff, now going back to Steve Bannon, or at least some illegal stuff, I should say, and you're being held accountable for it. You can't defraud donors whenever you have an organization and you fundraise like this. That's just the way things go. You had a federal case and now you have a state case. Clearly, there's something there. And it's just become the default from people in kind of the Trump camp to hand wave anything that is negative against them, anything that's holding them accountable as a partisan political witch hunt. And they never address why the substance that's being brought forth by whatever the entity is that's holding them accountable is false. They just don't even address it and say, oh, it's all a witch hunt. Well, could you please explain, though, what you were doing with the money that you were fundraising? Because I'd like to know. Of course, he won't. And good that he's being held accountable. And we will possibly see Steve Bannon, he's caught up in many other things as well, but at least related to this, be indicted out of the state of New York. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support what I do as well as get access to the full show, all of the stories hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus a weekly bonus show, you can go to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley.